someone said that you're coming by. Let me know when you're here, meet me up for a smoke outside. I regret what I said, didn't mean it. Yeah, believe me, I guess I'll take it back. There's a party downtown, someone said that you're coming by. I know that summer was a big mistake. I just hope that we're still okay. You always pick me up and let me down. We're spinning around, losing our minds. And if we do...
Hi everybody, welcome back to my channel, and if you're new, welcome. My name's Lisa. It's Tom MacDonald Tuesday, which means another reaction to Tom MacDonald music. This reaction is going to be to the official music video for his song America. Not too sure what this is going to be about. I'm assuming it's going to be a patriotic song, but that's just me assuming. I could be wrong. I'll soon find out. Really looking forward to getting into the Tom MacDonald video and song, obviously. So without further ado, let's get going and see what Tom has for us. Here we go.
Lately, USA is getting scarier. Half of the Americans I see all hate America. They hate the cops doing their best to take care of us and kneel for the flag and salt the soldiers that we're burying. I'm tired of the pissing and complaining. Why you living in America if all you do is hate it? You think it's brave to take a stand against the nation? Real bravery is dying for the right so you can say it. Dear America, what happened to Americans? Apparently no one's aware or cares that it's embarrassing, it's arrogance. Our greatest enemy was always slavery and terrorists, and now it's people in the country trying to burn the heritage. I can't help it, I just seem to see the world different. It ain't Republicans or liberals, it's mental illness. The internet is only interested in left opinions. Cancel culture's got more power lately than the First Amendment. If you don't like it, leave. We will not defund police. We don't want no riots in our neighborhoods or in the streets. We respect freedom of speech. We protect what we believe. We don't want nobody dead, so please do not tread on me.
Sorry, I just want to pause it there just to address a few things that he mentioned. I mean, yes, I assumed it was kind of about patriotism and just the right to have freedom of speech and the freedom to choose between, like, you know, your religion and whether you're left or right, and that shouldn't really matter. It should just be that, you know, we all stand up together as one. And I get it. I totally agree with him. That should be a thing. Everybody should have the right to freedom of speech. But unfortunately, and I'm going to say there's a but there, sadly, some people who feel that it is their right, their First Amendment right for freedom of speech, some of those people use that right, that First Amendment right, to talk about hate and to spread hate around and to say things about people that is not justified. And just because you have that right to freedom of speech, it doesn't mean that you have the right to freedom of consequences, depending on what you're saying. So if you're talking about hating a particular group of people, you know, based on their religion, the colour of their skin, their culture, their ethnicity, their social background, their economic background, it doesn't mean that people just have to be silent and just let you speak hate and spread that hate around. With freedom of speech, it doesn't mean that you're free of the consequences. So if you start calling somebody names or using racial slurs, for example, or derogatory terms, it doesn't mean that the people around you that don't agree with what you're saying and don't share your opinions and views, it doesn't mean that they shouldn't stand up and say that what you're saying and what you're doing is wrong, and it's hateful and it's unnecessary and it's bigoted and prejudice and in some cases, like I say, racist or homophobic. So yes, I get that everybody has the right to freedom of speech, but at the same time we need to be mindful about what that speech is and what that mindset is and how you're spreading that around and how you're using your freedom of speech. I mean, obviously I'm over in the UK and we have our own issues. We are definitely far from perfect, so I don't want it to sound as if I'm bashing America and I'm saying that America are just completely screwed up, because we have our own issues over here in the UK, in England, in Britain. There's a lot of things wrong within British politics, within UK politics, European politics. I'm sure other countries or other people from other countries could say the same thing, that there is a lot wrong with their country. It's not perfect. No country is perfect. No government, no leader is absolutely 100% perfect all of the time. All you can do is just try your best, but it certainly doesn't give them a free pass to encourage hate or spread hate or allow their citizens to, you know, think that they're free to hate speech, and whatever that may be. Like I said, whether it be racism, homophobia, transphobia, bigotry about somebody's religion, you know, saying my religion's better than yours, and I mean, as far as Christianity goes, that is by far a perfect religion. Let's be honest. There are so many wars and battles and arguments that are over religion. Certainly, as far as Christianity goes. I mean, I can't speak for, you know, any other religion. I don't want to speak for any religion because I don't know enough about all the other religions. But from what I can see, Christianity, I believe, from what I do see, is one of the worst for spreading hate and prejudice and bigotry, and being behind the times, and not being very into progression at all within society and people as they are now in the 21st century. And Christianity, unfortunately, is it goes by a book which has been translated and changed over hundreds of years, if not more, and in so many different languages by so many different people, that, I'm sorry, it contradicts itself. There are so many contradictions within the Bible, and it is by far a perfect religion. And unfortunately, a lot of the people that spread hate, not all, but a lot of the people that spread hate will say that they live their lives and have their mindsets based on this book that they read, this book that they preach, and they you know, they kind of quote it as if it's the be all and end all. And I think a lot of people just don't understand, well, hold on a minute, that's the word of humans. What's to say that it is the word of God? Would God really want people fighting and arguing and saying that, you know, it's okay to hate somebody because of the colour of their skin, or, you know, because somebody wants to live their life differently to how you think that life should be lived? And like I've said before, as long as you're not deliberately going out of your way to hurt somebody, to harm someone in any way, and you're just keeping yourself to yourself, and you're letting people be free to live their lives, providing they're not hurting anybody in any way, then I think, yes, freedom of speech is very important, but it's fine, just live and let live. That's how I view it. And I personally don't live my life by the book. It's a great moral code. It should be a great moral code to live your life, to do good by other people, to consider other people, to help, to not judge people. Weren't those the words of Jesus? To love, to love people as if they're your own brothers and sisters, as if they're your own family, because we are, as humans, all one big family. We're all part of the human race, regardless of skin colour or sexuality or religion. We are all human beings. And I think a lot of people tend to forget that, unfortunately. Like I said before, I want to try and keep these videos a bit shorter because some of them have been really long and I've just kind of gone off on one, and there is probably a few other things that I could say, but I want to sort of keep this down fairly shortish if I can. But the trouble is with Tom MacDonald's music, I said the trouble is with Tom MacDonald's music is that he always brings up so many things, and there's so many things that you could address and sort of have an opinion about, and opinions are great, different opinions are great. Like I said, that's what it should all be about. People should have the right to freedom of speech, as long as they're being respectful and not being hateful. And we're all going to have different opinions about different things. That's just who we are as humans. No human, no two humans are ever going to agree with each other about every single little thing. It's just not going to work. So I just wanted to kind of like, point those bits out. But the idea that he said about kneeling for the anthem, or for in front of the flag, and disrespecting the people that fought for it, there's a lot more to it than that. A lot of people see that as disrespectful, with the likes of Colin Kaepernick or other people who have knelt for the national anthem on the football field. And it's not about disrespecting the flag or what America should stand for. It should, people need to realise that it was about taking a stand against racism, against police brutality, against the fact that so many people think that it's still okay, sadly, that people of colour, that black people are treated poorly, that black people are treated like they're less than human. And it's still going on. It's still going on within the police, within the medical field, just the system in general. And as I've said before, you know, anybody that says that racism doesn't exist anymore is kidding themselves. I'm sorry, they're in denial, or they're just flat out lying. They you know, and a lot of these people will be, you know, they'll sort of be of the mind of like, well, I've never experienced racism, so therefore it doesn't exist. You can't see the wind, but it doesn't mean to say it doesn't exist. You see the effects of it. You know, it shouldn't come down to, or just because I haven't experienced it, it means that it's not real. Your experience is going to be very, very different to somebody else. Your life experiences, anything that happens in your life, we're not all going to be the same. We're not all going to live the same way. We're not going to be brought up the same. We're going to go through all different hard times. And yes, you might go through different things that are similar to somebody else. It's never going to be the exact same experience. It might be close. There might be a lot of similarities, but it's not going to be the exact same situation, because us as humans, we process things and we deal with things very differently. It's not about disrespecting the flag. It's not about disrespecting America as, you know, and what it should stand for, which is freedom and liberty and stuff. It's about protesting the fact that there are still so many people that are not white that are not getting those same rights, those same privileges, as in liberty and freedom, compared to people that are white. And that's what it's about. It's not about disrespecting people that have died and stuff for those rights. Those people obviously are fully aware that, you know, people made sacrifices for that, but sadly it hasn't kind of worked out the way it should have done. The way it's not the way it should be. Not for everybody. Not everybody has an equal footing within the system. They don't have an equal start in the system. Sadly, there are still a lot of people that are kind of held down, and you know, they're not treated the same way. So yeah, I mean, I get it. He's making some brilliant points, but yeah, there are obviously a few things that I kind of disagree, or just a few things there that I wanted to kind of pick up with what he said. But yeah, like I said, I don't want to kind of ramble on and make this video really, really long. I'm trying to keep it down to a minimum. So we'll carry on and see what else he has to say. I know he's going to have to say a lot. So yeah, we'll carry on.
In America, your freedom ain't free.
Love the visuals.
Got soldiers dying overseas, so America, you can say what we believe. My America, I won't ever take a knee. Our freedom is the reason you can disrespect our flag. If my stars and stripes offend you, then I'll help you pack your bags. America. Does anybody know what the hell happened to the Patriots? Lately this nation is so ashamed and hating itself. Did everyone forget that people died to pay for this? Ungratefulness, United States gave everything to you just to help. I just want to celebrate Thanksgiving with my family. I don't need your help to understand it was a tragedy. Can I just be thankful for my country eating happily without you trying to guilt me for the genocide and casualties? I can't help it, I just seem to see the world different. It ain't black or white, it's conflict designed by the system. I don't need your pronouns, all I see is men and women. Kids are taking pills for fun while people can't afford prescriptions. If you don't like it, go. Hate it, then don't call it home. We don't need no violence, got no time for all you radicals. Screw your status quo, we're not animals. I won't kneel for the anthem, cause the flag is what I'm standing for.
So I just want to pause it there as well, and he's sort of saying about how he doesn't want to kneel for the flag, and obviously talking about patriots and people that are sort of standing up for what the flag represents. At the same time as well, there's a lot of these patriots, people that claim to be patriotic Americans, who basically after Trump lost the last election and Biden got in, and there were a lot of patriots who decided to storm the Capitol and get in to the Capitol building and break into people's offices, in the hope that they would intimidate certain members of Congress who were also in the building. They were convening. They burned the American flag. They were armed to the teeth. A lot of them were masked or had balaclavas and stuff, and dare I say it, they acted like terrorists. They were domestic terrorists, and all because their president lost an election. And yet they are the same people that will be shouting about not Tom, obviously I'm not talking about Tom, because you know I don't believe that that's the sort of thing that he would do for 1 minute. So I'm not saying, oh, Tom was there, but a lot of these people that claim to be patriots and claim to be proud of this Stars and Stripes flag were the same ones, some of the same ones, breaking into the Capitol building and starting riots, the riots that he's talking about, that he doesn't want, that he thinks are pointless, that he doesn't see the need for. And a lot of these other people, with regards to Black Lives Matter protests and things like that, they will say the same thing. Oh, these riots, these protests are unnecessary, it's unpatriotic, and it's disrespectful, and it's disgusting. And yet, some of these same people were doing that on January the 6th, during the riots, burning the American flag, armed to the teeth, and breaking into a government building. And yet they will say that they were patriotic. They acted like terrorists. I'm sorry, they acted like terrorists. You tell me how that makes sense. It's almost like it's one rule for one and one rule for another. That is a contradiction itself. That's huge hypocrisy. So yeah, it's all very well to be patriotic, but you know, are you really standing up for the right things? Let's be honest. So yeah, anyway, I just wanted to point that out. It's interesting to me, coming from somebody that lives over in the UK, seeing that all happen, and the amount of hate that was being spewed about Black Lives Matter protests, and yet those people did that because an election was lost. Their president lost an election and they couldn't deal with it. They threw their toys out the cot, essentially, and decided to go and storm a government building, and you know, try in the hope that they were going to try and intimidate some people in Congress and politicians there, and they burnt the flags. I don't get it. I'm sorry, I don't get it. But anyway, yeah, I just wanted to point that out. So let's carry on.
In America, your freedom ain't free. In America, got soldiers dying overseas. So America, you say what we believe. My America, I won't ever take a knee. Our freedom is the reason you can disrespect our flag. If my stars and stripes offend you, then I'll help you pack your bags. America, you can hate the government and still love the country. The fundamental values of America are concrete. Republicans and liberals are dumb, to put it bluntly. They're labels that they use to create chaos and corruption. You can know the history and still be proud of where you're from. Every flag around the world is covered in a little blood. We started out United States, divided is what we've become. If home is where the heart is, you should show America some love. In America, your freedom ain't free. In America, got soldiers dying overseas. So America, you say what we believe. My America, I won't ever take a knee. Our freedom is the reason you can disrespect our flag. If my stars and stripes offend you, then I'll help you pack your bags. America.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, I mean, I loved the delivery on that, I have to say. That beat and that instrumental were really, really catchy. Yeah, they went perfectly with it. I think I kind of heard a little bit of piano, like high, and that really added to the drama or the intensity of the song and the messages that he was trying to put across. And yeah, I mean, I loved his delivery. Don't get me wrong, he made some brilliant points about the whole thing about being patriotic and being proud of who you are and where you came from. But and at the same time, he also said about how every country's flag has a little bit of blood on it, and like I say, Britain included. Yeah, hold my hands up and say, yeah, as far as Britain goes, we've definitely got a lot of blood on our flag. Yeah, I mean, yeah, the British Empire is, I don't know, dare I say it, school, a lot of school is about repetition, and it's about indoctrination. It's about learning maybe just one side of history, or for example, in the case of history, it's about learning one side, a lot of it, of something. and it almost makes out like one side, you know, especially with regards to war and stuff like that, one side is the bad guy and one side is the good guy. And sadly, it's not always as cut and dry as that. And a lot of the time they will not teach, and I'm sure this is the same with America. I mean, I've listened to a lady called Jane Elliott, who used to be a school teacher, and she's spoken a lot about this. You can find her on YouTube. It's not education, it's indoctrination when you're in schools, because they'll teach you to basically, you know, you're supposed to learn a certain way or a certain thing, and they kind of hammer it into you that it is this way. And a lot of schools sadly don't, you know, unless you're lucky to actually have a teacher that is very open-minded and that is willing to kind of open the discussion up and be like, right, okay, tell me why you don't agree with that, or tell me why you think differently about that. Some teachers like that do exist, and thank God for them, because otherwise, unfortunately, a lot of teachers are told that they have to just teach a certain thing or a certain way, and there's no room for questioning that or doubting that. And that is indoctrination. It's not educating, it's indoctrinating and brainwashing people into thinking that something is one way and it's actually really not. And I mean, prime example, what he said, something about if you don't agree with basically, you know, how we run things in America, then I'll help you pack your bags. It's not just about that, and it really annoys me when people say, well, if you don't like it, you should go back to where you came from. I mean, yeah, they'll turn around and say, I'm not racist, but and they'll follow it up, how about you're just not racist, and leave it at that. How about you just don't be racist? There shouldn't be a but at the end of that. And unfortunately, there's a lot of people that will say things like that. You know, if you don't like it, why don't you go back to your own country? Well, that's not as cut and dry as what a lot of people think that it is. A lot of those people have come to a country for more opportunity and to make something of themselves that they couldn't back home, and that in itself is such a complicated issue, because, you know, there could be war going on or poverty, and they want to get out of that and make something of themselves, for themselves and their families, and give their children and future generations more of an opportunity than they had. And I commend them for it. So, and the idea that people would say, and it's over here as well, but the idea that people would say, for example, in America, well, if you don't like it, then you can pack your bags, you can always leave. Yeah, but who brought them over here? Who brought them over to that country? For example, America. If you're talking about black people, a lot of them probably actually wouldn't be there out of choice. They'd want to go back to their own countries and live with their families and live in peace and just be left alone. But sadly, that harks back to the whole slavery thing, where a lot of them were brought over. And like I say, Britain is not perfect either. Obviously, we had a hand in that whole slave trade thing, and you know, we need to, you know, we need to deal with that and acknowledge it and own up to it. We need to hold our hands up and say, yeah, we were wrong, and we need to do more with regards to reparations and apologies and making things right. And at the same time, you know, you have people, you know, the classic thing I've heard, you when you watch these videos on social media, and there's these people that white people, and they're saying to somebody, you know, somebody from Mexico or something, someone that's Hispanic or something, and oh, you know, go back to your own country. Well, actually, until America started dividing up the land and separating areas, you'll probably find that actually, as far as Mexico goes, they were actually in their own country. You guys invaded them. You know, other people invaded them and spread out. It's exactly the same with indigenous communities. You know, stick them on reservations, move them far away from us. We don't want to associate with them. Yet it was actually their land in the first place. They were there thousands of years before white people moved in and took over everything and starved them out and put all this hate on them and shoved them into reservations and set up residential schools to try and indoctrinate them and brainwash them and you know, live in this whole society where it's white based and it's Christian based. And just look up the whole horrors of the residential schools, just for one, in Canada and America, and you'll see what I'm talking about. It is disgusting. It really is disgusting. And like I say, the UK is far from perfect. Britain is far from perfect. What we did over in the likes of, I mean, we were part of the whole American thing anyway as well. Well, Europe, just different parts of Europe where, you know, France, Spain, you know, us, other parts. But we obviously also went and did that exact same thing in, you know, places like India and the continent of Africa. And yeah, we're kind of got the same thing here with the Windrush generation, bringing them over with regards to, you know, the war and to help us, you know, build up the country and build up the empire over here. And now that, you know, their job is done, there's a lot of people that say, well, why don't you go back to where you came from? Well, it's not that easy. It's not that straightforward. You brought them over here, probably mostly against their will, and they wouldn't choose to be here. But, you know, now they've done what you wanted them to do. Now you want them to just clear off. It doesn't work like that. It's a complicated issue, very, very complicated. There is so much more to it. I'm not a history buff, like I say. You know, there's a lot of things that I don't know about, and I kind of, I'm at that point now though where I'm more interested in it than what I was at school, and I'm taking a more of an interest in it. And the more I learn, both about, you know, well, just the history of different places, but particularly, you know, the history of my country, the history of Britain, and that whole, you know, Britain, the Commonwealth, and things like that. Dare I say it, I don't necessarily feel 100% proud to be British. I'm sorry, because we have a lot of blood on our hands. We have a lot of blood on our flag. And yeah, we're not much different to America as far as that goes. So we are far from perfect, like I said. But yeah, I just find it crazy that there are so many contradictions and so much hypocrisy with regards to, you know, yes, you can have freedom of speech. You have every right to freedom of speech. It's in your First Amendment. But at the same time, that doesn't mean you're free from consequences if you say something hateful, if you're saying things that are spreading hate and bigotry and prejudice and racism and any kind of phobia, transphobia, homophobia, you know, misogyny, anything like that, or where it's inciting violence, and it's spreading fear. And a lot of it is unnecessary. It really is. Most of it, all of it is unnecessary. All of that hate is uncalled for. So, I mean, whereas I loved his, don't get me wrong, I loved his delivery on this. He made some fantastic points, and I can completely get behind a lot of those points that he made, just in the sense of how pointless it is and how we should just all live and let live. Don't go around hurting anybody deliberately in any way, shape or form. And just live and let live. That should be the whole thing about America, is it's the land of the free and home of the brave. But that should include everybody, regardless of your religion, skin colour, ethnicity, your sexual orientation, your sexual preferences, whatever. It should include everybody, not just a select few, based on, sadly, dare I say it, a lot of it is based on the Bible. It's based on the Christian religion. Or Catholicism, or, you know, a branch of Christianity like that. But yeah, I mean, aside from all of those things that I kind of disagreed with him a little bit about, or I differed in opinion to what he said, at the same time, I absolutely loved this. Props to him for, you know, bringing up all of those points and addressing everything. And yeah, the visuals were on point. Another brilliant video shot by Nova, as always. She's just exceptional when it comes to shooting music videos, just how they come up with the concepts and the ideas for the videos and how they shoot them. I know they both work together, and they're just incredible. Nova always manages to get the camera angles and the shots just perfect. I love it. And yeah, the beat was really catchy. The instrumental, awesome. It really, you know, delivered that song perfectly. It allowed him to deliver the lyrics perfectly. And I love the fact that, I mean, he's a Canadian. I'm sure I've got that right. He's originally Canadian, but he lives over in America. And I love the fact that he's so patriotic and he feels so passionately about these issues. Clearly, because he's done a lot of songs about these same things. So, yeah, I love the fact that he's so patriotic and he's so passionate about what he believes and what he's saying. And I'm not saying for 1 minute that Tom is spreading hate within his songs. I think Tom just uses his songs and his brilliant songwriting skills to start those conversations and to, give people the opportunity to talk about things and air out differences, and at the same time respect one another. It's not about spreading hate with Tom and his music and his songs. It is about addressing those issues that are really important, and that are, some of them sadly they are a problem. The issues, like I say, such as misogyny and racism and homophobia and transphobia and all of that. So yeah, props to him, another brilliant one. And yeah, I really loved this, and I'm sorry if this is another long one. But yeah, it's just, Tom always does this with his music. Yeah, that's the only thing, that's the only reason why it's kind of dangerous for me to react to Tom's music, because I could just go off on a whole rant in a video. There's so many other things that I probably could have addressed and I didn't, but yeah, just wow, I just love Tom's music. I just think it's so important to have more artists like him around, even if I don't agree with them. And like I said, that's the beauty of having a difference of opinion. We're free to you know, have various opinions, and that's okay. That's part of being human, as long as you're respectful. You don't, and as long as you don't hate on somebody, you know, when it's not necessary. You know, you can be respectful, you can have differences of opinion and debates and things, and still keep it nice and civil. So please be kind in the comments. But yeah, I loved this overall. I'm really glad I got round to seeing this one. I know it's been popping up quite a few times. A lot of other people have reacted to it, and yeah, judging by the thumbnails and stuff that I've seen, it's kind of caused a bit of controversy or shocked faces, or like, you know, so yeah, I've sort of been looking forward to getting into this one. And yeah, I mean, I have actually skimmed through briefly a few of the comments before I started filming this reaction, and yeah, I kind of knew it was going to be a little bit controversial, and yeah, there was going to be a lot that you had to say in that one. So yeah, it is what it is. It's just a part of life. But anyway, I hope you enjoyed this, and I hope it wasn't too long for you. If you did enjoy it, please give it a thumbs up. Don't forget to subscribe to keep up with more Tom MacDonald Tuesday reactions, and reactions to other artists on Thursdays and Sundays. And also, if you're a Home Free fan or you love a cappella music, then please join me every Friday for Home Free Friday, where I react exclusively to Home Free's music. And I will see you in the next one. Thanks for watching. Bye guys.